Welcome to another thrilling edition of PremierTwo, now with double the fun minus the echo. We fixed that. But I would like to introduce you, ladies and gentlemen, to the one, the only, notorious Monster!
Good morning, chat.
Wait, what do you mean good morning, chat? What about me?
You know what? You're doing your best. You're doing your best.
Today, this is the task. 4,634 pieces of power. The Ghostbusters Firehouse. My favorite movie, my favorite toy, my favorite actors. I could quote the entire film from beginning to end. I absolutely love it. So when I was a kid, I was maybe 8 or so living in Springfield, Missouri, and we had a garage sale. I was playing in the old Firehouse toy set when my dad sold it to someone as I was playing with it, ripped it from my hands, said, "Quit your crying, you'll get another one someday." I didn't know it was gonna be 32 years later that I'd have to build it myself. And then my father put a price tag on me, and he wrote $2.50 or best offer. And my mom got really mad. And she was like, "He's worth at least $2 million. So she put another one on me that was worth more. Notorious Monster, how much do you think that this box retails for?
Oh, that box is huge. $200?
Are you insane? That's how much the Ecto 1 cost.
Okay. I just looked it up. I found out the USD price. I think online, I think it sells for $350, but it's out of stock, so it's probably way more. On Amazon, I'm seeing $848 on Amazon because it's out of stock.
That's the one. It's $849 USD.
Oh my God.
What I call it is a very careful tax write-off. So we're going to make sure we build all of this on stream.
With all this scrap, you can make a piece of crap.
Okay. This is the biggest book I've ever read in my entire life.
Yeah, and most of it's pictures too.
Which still counts, which is what I'm trying to say. All right, let's take a look. This has a ton of text. Should I read any of that, or?
Well, can you read any of it?
This is in Spanish and French. I can read the top one. I first saw it on VHS when it came out, and my dad rented it. I must have been 3 or 4. It's one of my earliest memories. And at the very beginning of Ghostbusters, they're in a library, and this specter is reading books, and they try to approach it, and it turns into this terrifying ghost, and they all run away in terror. I thought that was the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran so fast away from the TV that I slammed into the bathroom door, and I had like a black eye. And then I locked myself in there, and my dad was like, "Quit being a little baby and come out. It's just a comedy. Don't be afraid." And then I'd come out, I'd be into the movie, and then he'd grab me and be like, "The ghost!" I don't know how this movie became my favorite. I honestly feel like I should hate it more than anything.
Are you sure it was the door that gave you the black eye? Because the more you talk about these stories,
I hate tiny pieces. I feel like this is the recipe, the absolute recipe for a disaster. We should have, oh God, look at this.
Yeah, it looks like you need to get one of those gold pan sifters and like put it in there and like slowly sift the pieces until you can find the piece that you need, because that's a lot of small pieces.
It's a common criticism of Lego is that these enormous pieces sometimes feel a bit intimidating and a little too large. And you know what I'm actually thinking? Is it bad that I found another bag that says 1?
Oh gosh, that's so scary to mix all those small pieces with. Oh, okay. There we go.
All right.
There we go.
I think we're good now.
Everyone in chat is saying you don't mix pills and alcohol, and you just mixed pills and alcohol.
Why would they do this? That's what I'm confused by.
Why would they do this? It was you who just did it. It's like that meme where he shoots the guy on the couch. You just shot yourself on the couch.
It's me riding the bicycle and putting the stick in there. The picture right here, picture 1, page 1, shows man, open box, dump out bag, build. That is essentially what I tried to do. I'm going to put funny colors along with the black colors because we'll be able to easily sort them.
Well, I'm not going to lie, Pete. I'm honestly thinking that the Gundam build was easier than this is going to be.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. This is like Tekken. It's like a legacy thing. If you've built a bunch of Legos and you know what you're doing, then it's really easy and it's simple and it's fun to do this.
It sounds like you're coping for your Tekken ability, Pete, again.
When I let my hands just go limp, it defaults to like a PlayStation controller. like, you know, if I stretch, but this is just how I default to it.
Okay, your default hands. Now, can you raise the default hands up and down real quick?
Like, you mean like, oh, Jesus. I knew it! We are officially, and I mean officially, starting the firehouse right here. All right, let the carnage begin. Let's hear your questions.
All right, let's see here. Let me get the wheel. Peter, do you remember the original Final Fantasy VII launch? Did people feel that Square betrayed Nintendo? Because if you remember, there was some N64 versus PlayStation drama at the time. Or did people just accept it and were hype about it? And the modifier for this question.
Please don't be surface level. Oh, thank God.
Ooh, okay. So this one's gonna be true or false, okay?
So the answer to that question is nobody felt that Nintendo was betrayed because Nintendo were loser cheating dogs who couldn't keep up with what Sony's vision and Squaresoft, not Square Enix, had in mind for Final Fantasy VII. So what ended up happening was when they released Final Fantasy VII, it was to massive, enormous fanfare. We've been waiting months, if not over a year for this game. And this was already after the demo had come with Tobal #1. Nintendo had tried to, you know, fan the flames that they were not the ones responsible. The tech demo showed, while promising, was actually a rendering and a mock-up of Final Fantasy VI, which showed Locke and Celes and whatever you pronounce her, Celes. And when it finally came out on the PlayStation, not only was it an absolute blockbuster, it was one of the definitive reasons that people considered that Sony had taken the lead over Nintendo in the early console wars.
It's mostly saying that you're lying, so we're gonna clear it up here in a second once this poll ends, whether or not you were lying. Some people are saying it's impossible for Pete to lie, that you've never told a lie. But I've heard you say you're handsome before, so I know that's just not true. All right, Pete, 228 people think you were lying. Can you tell us exactly what the truth was about the situation?
This was 100%. I was telling the truth. 100%. As someone who lived it, who was a part of it, Nintendo had done a lot of things that were considered kind of a betrayal. A lot of people felt that they had abandoned Square, who had been pressing to have this disc-based system. And you got to remember, Squaresoft and Nintendo were like the kings, the absolute kings of RPGs. We're coming off of Final Fantasy 6/3, Chrono Trigger, and Super Mario RPG to close out the Super Nintendo. At first, when we saw those early mock-ups, I was thrilled. It showed Locke, it showed Shadow. I was like, this is going to be dope. And then when they decided to go to a cartridge-based format, that created a schism because the PlayStation had come out a year earlier than the Nintendo. People were starting to buy it. People were starting to play other RPGs like Ginso Suikoden. And this hype meter for what they were trying to do with Final Fantasy VII went through the goddamn roof. It was absurd. And you know it was going to be big when people were buying Tobal #1, a fighting game of no one even remembers it. Nobody even cares, just so we could get our hands in the bombing run of that demo. After that, when we found out through either propaganda or through journalism, whatever you would like to call it, what they were pushing on the PlayStation was this was going to be a 3-disc game, which was absolutely mind-blowing. A what? It was going to have CD quality music. A real weak point of the Nintendo 64, by the way, was their music system. And it had these videos, these FMVs that blew the Sega CD out of the water, that were more realistic than people's favorite show Reboot, and it was a huge deal. Final Fantasy VII firmly entrenched me into the camp of I am a Sony dude now. And Nintendo can go fuck itself because they did drop the ball, and their launch was pretty horrific in general, the N64, especially in the Midwest where they had a lot of supply issues, where they couldn't get people the consoles who were trying to buy them. And they only released 2 games at launch, which was Pilot Wings 64 and Super Mario 64. And that was all that they had for, quite a while. So a lot of people turned to the PlayStation to get their games because Nintendo was too hard to acquire.
Another bag number one, guys. I asked you earlier if there were any other number one labeled bags.
There's so many bags back here. It's like I'm sorting meth out and I'm trying to get the right ounces. Oh shit, no way. It's time? We're bringing
Is
in
that the driveway?
That's the driveway, yep.
This is like real construction. You know, when you drive by a building and it's like they're starting construction and then 6 years later, they still haven't finished.
Yeah, this is about the same time too. It's going to take me. You know, we were going to do an 8-hour stream of this, right? But we had to call an audible, one, because I couldn't get the sound to work. But two, there's a local bar in my area that's celebrating its 20th anniversary. 20th.
Wow.
And I asked them, what is the celebration going to be? So Japan's a weird place. Do you know what a mikoshi is? Notorious?
Mikoshi. I've heard of ombushi or something, but not mikoshi. I don't know what that is.
A mikoshi is like a thing that you put on your shoulders and you carry it around, and it's during festivals and stuff.
Oh, like a child, a small child.
Not that. Wait, it's a mobile shrine. Sometimes once a year they have a celebration for virility. And you can imagine what the mikoshi might look like in that situation. And so it's a phallic festival. They were kind enough to invite me to be there. I'm sure the festivities are already well in hand. That's not what...
Hey Pete, long-time watcher, sometime contributor. My question is about PeteCraft. What kind of crafts do you feel like doing on stream? More Lego, in parentheses easy, or more challenging things like Warhammer, where painting is part of the craft? Thanks. Hope to see you in Rotterdam.
That's a great question. Let's see how I feel about answering it.
You have to answer this question out of context. So if someone were to clip this, they would not know what the hell you were talking about.
Honestly, I'm thinking this is getting pretty soft. When we get to PeteCraft, I want this to get wet and wild. I want to get my hands dirty. Really, the problem is just playing with it's not enough. I want to grab it. I want to really sink my teeth into it. So I'm looking to level up my experiences. I've always played it kind of safe. I've always just kind of put things where they're supposed to go. But now, I'm ready to be more adventurous. That's horrible.
Excellent. Thank you, viewer. Thank you.
Okay, this is getting exciting. So now we're building something in the middle down here. So I'm guessing that this is the front now.
Okay, so that's like the actual bay door and stuff? Okay.
I don't know. Let's find out. We're actually starting to make some pretty decent progress now, right?
This is a lot better. You got some momentum.
For those keeping track, we are still on bag 1. In case you thought he was being a little too kind with his words there. I feel like we've been abusing a lot of our old IPs, and it feels like us specifically, our generation of nerds from the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s. It's like my mom's generation, with the exception of Star Wars, which is like 70s, and I'm talking even earlier, like they're not running back Leave It to Beaver or The Brady Bunch or, you know, Gunsmoke or Who Shot JR or they're not bringing back any of this stuff. It seems like nostalgia really, in the 80s, they were like, hey, we got them. These people will buy and consume anything that if they can remember a time where they were happy. So we've had 12 different iterations of Turtles, 6 different Star Wars movies that have come out. And I was thinking, like, I wonder what it is about our current collective youth where it's like, instead of coming up with new stuff for kids to enjoy, which is why I mentioned Invincible yesterday being a cool thing, like that would be something that maybe somebody in high school now is like, dude, Invincible's so sick, I can't wait. They've really figured out that we are the most susceptible to just anything. You slap a Ninja Turtle on a brand new Wonder Bread, and I'd buy that package instead of like the healthier option. I'd be like, oh, sick, this is Turtles. This looks kind of, these 2 pieces where you have like, I've never seen these before. This will be interesting.
Pete, it's not an app. You can't double click it and it will open or something.
Wait, you gotta see this.
Yeah, make it bigger. No, it's not working.
What the
Hello Pete and Notorious Monster, longtime viewer here, resident sleeper. How do you know that you've got life figured out? For a certain period at least. Because honestly, life seems very complicated to have figured out. And we're going to answer this question
with the modifier of... Ooh, fatherly advice, Pete. You're gonna have to... That's perfect for this question, though.
Well, let me tell you something. Sometimes life comes at you pretty fast. I heard that in a movie once, and it shrugged it off my shoulders like it was nothing. But it's true. It's true, damn it. The best way I can put it is, with time comes a lot of answers. When I was a young man, I was in relationships, going to college, trying my best to do the right thing, or just living life. And I would make a huge mistake, and I'd lay awake for it for nights, for weeks, for years. And I'd say to myself, I'm never gonna forget this moment. I can't believe I dropped the ball, or I've never been happier than this moment, or I've never been sadder than that. In reality, you have new things that occupy your attention. For me, it was moving to a new country. And I had a lot of setbacks. And all those things that I was worried about in college and in high school and those relationships, now I can't even remember some of the main people's names. I can't remember where they took place or what year it was, even though at the time, it was so damn important. And during my time in Japan, 13 years, at least 6, 7, 8 of those years were fraught, and they were full of hardship. I was stealing toilet paper from public bathrooms. I was eating eggs. I was eating rice. That was all I was having. I was gaining weight. I was getting sick. I was overworking. For me, I always took a step back, and this is the truth. I looked at what I had in my life instead of what I didn't. And what I've been very lucky is I've always had some good people in my corner, people I could call, some people I could talk to, some people I could just think about and know that it's gonna be all right. And eventually, those relationships, they bore fruit. And I was able to collaborate and hang out and do things. Now I'm streaming. And a lot of that goes to the people I've met and continue to meet along the way. So at your lowest point, remember, you've not backed yourself into a corner. You've backed yourself into the corner of a boxing ring, right next to all those people trying to give you advice on how to get up, answer the bell, and swing that next punch.
All my fellas.
And not bad. That was pretty good advice, if I do say so myself. I thought when I came to Japan, I thought that health insurance was not mandatory. And you can yuck and you can yaw, but I came from the United States where it was very much, you didn't get it most of the time. And I told them I didn't want to be put into some weird premium. So I decided okay, I don't want health insurance. And what ended up happening was, eventually the guy at tax office or city hall was like, "Hai, wakarimashita. Okay desu. Okay desu." And he was like, I'm done trying to tell this guy that he's breaking the law. So, 2 years later, I got home from work and I went to go pay my rent. And there was literally no money in my bank account. None. Maybe $3, 350 yen. And what had happened was, they had garnished my wages. And they said, this is going to be the next 3 months, where you're going to have to pay back what you didn't pay in health insurance because you had it. And I never even used it. I was sick during these times too, but I thought, I can't. I had to borrow money from people. I had to figure out a game plan that allowed me to survive, which essentially means my normally 20-minute commute to work, which was about 8 minutes of walking and a 12-minute bus ride, I had to walk every day. So it was 45 minutes to an hour. And then I had to change my diet completely, which was eggs and rice exclusively for dinner, and I would have 2 rice burgers, which were $1 or 100 yen at the school lunch, and it was hard. That was back then. So, but even during those times, I still was I liked where I lived. I liked the people I was interacting with. I was having fun, and I knew it was going to be all right eventually. I never thought I'd be a streamer or anything, but I knew that it was it wasn't going to be the end of days.
Do you have any
Looks
tips
nice.
for finishing projects? I never finish many projects, because I feel no one's interested. Or I lose motivation. Any advice?
I'll answer this one really quick. No. I'm not very good at finishing projects either, and I'm a procrastinator through and through. It's a part of my ADHD that has always been an issue. The only thing I know is that doing something for other people often will just lead to disappointment because you're not going to be able to please anybody. So if you take satisfaction out of doing it, then that's the best way.
But if it's a project that you have to do, the best advice I ever heard was, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is 1 bite at a time. For me, I have so many projects that I have to do and I might not be in the mood to do it. But it's just okay, 1 bite at a time. I literally just tell myself that.
Pete, you really seem to have everything going for you. Maybe you can help me. How do I become president of the United States?
Well,
1 bite at a time. Bite as many people.
Bite these nuts.
There you go. Cue us here.
1 bite at a time. Bite these nuts. That's the one.
This person's from Australia.
Oi, mate.
First time caller, long time fan. As a newly married man, Any advice for a man who's getting married in August this year?
True or false?
How are you going to do this on true or false?
The old marriage advice that I got, it's pretty basic. Happy wife, happy life. Sounds simple, but boy, is it tough. Listen, as the husband, you're here to carry that cross. Your job at this house is one of many things. Primarily, not to mess up. Whether it's dragging your feet with your shoes on through the empty hallways and then leaving marks. Perhaps you forgot to feed Kupo, the cat, for example. Or you left a dirty dish out there. What you need to do is change everything about you so that you can make sure that the boat doesn't get rocked. That is it. And look, your pain, your suffering, it will be alleviated anyway because the wife's in a good mood or the partner's in a good mood. There you go. Easy marriage advice. Have I taken it? I'll let you decide.
All right, results are coming in, and it's almost 50-50 split. We got, okay, now it's not. Now it's 400K to 200K.
I have heard that advice, and should I have taken it? Possibly. But as a habitual line stepper, I feel like, hey, this ain't a one-way road here, all right? I'm trying to find some inner peace too. We're going to have to work on this shit together. I can't just bring the money. I can't just be this guy who's going to do this and that to appease you. The reality is that I'm a soft, sensitive person too. And you're going to have to make happy husband, buzz. No way, that doesn't work. So I don't know the exact phrase yet, but I have not taken that advice because I fundamentally disagree with it. But,
damn, all those people that believed in you just lost 400,000 Kupo coins.
They did not believe in me. I gave them the advice that I heard.
You know, in Final Fantasy VII on the bombing run mission where like you set the bomb and the clock is like ticking down, you have to get out of the reactor before it blows. What if we did a timer that went down
Yeah.
and if you didn't finish your build,
Yeah.
like a hammer drops on the Lego build?
No, I don't want to have a quote hammer drop on the Lego.
I mean, I think we'd get it done a lot faster.
I think we would have a broken Lego. That's what I think would happen.
Hey Pete, longtime watcher, second time caller. In the Metal Gear series, who is your favorite bad guy? Loving the stream and all of its scuffness. Human gaming.
Ooh, true or false? Okay, so we need to figure out if this person is your favorite bad guy or not.
So going off the board, my favorite bad guy is enemy in Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. His name is The End. And if you've never played this game, I particularly like this boss fight because I could not understand what I was supposed to do. The End is like a 117-year-old sniper. And if you fight him in this quite large map and like this jungle thing, and I think his parrot is like his spotter, and then you're supposed to use that and then look for like the guy near that. I couldn't beat him, and it was right before a show run in college or high school, college. I can't remember. God, it's old. And I went to do the show, and I came back to the game, and I got a call on my codec that The End literally died of old age, waiting for me. So because I couldn't beat him myself, I had just stepped away from the game for like the week or something. And when I loaded the game back up, he was dead. And the game actually factored that in, that if you just wait for a week, he'll just die. So I feel like, come on, if that doesn't earn top spot, then I don't know what does.
Pete, was it true or false?
The story is true. The answer is false.
Okay, so it was false.
False. The End is my second
Who
favorite.
is your actual favorite enemy of Metal Gear Solid?
Come on, it's so easy. It's so easy. The best one by far. So you like Suikoden? Oh, you play Castlevania. Put your controller on the ground and I'll move it with the power of my mind. Psycho Manus, that shit was, I think I audibly screamed. I was so stunned by what I was seeing. I couldn't believe it. And the fact that you had to plug your controller into port 2 so he couldn't read your movements, I don't know how they programmed that. I don't know how that got done. I don't want to know. It was the single coolest fight I'd ever seen before and since. My mother hired a big brother named Mike. Mike was a guy who worked for Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and he would come to visit me on weekends, like, once a month, and and like take me places and hang out. And I was a really tough kid too to hang out with. When I moved to Kansas City, he still made the time to come across, state lines for 3-hour drive. And I remember on one, Metal Gear Solid came out basically on my birthday. And he came all the way from Springfield, and he had got us like plans to do all kinds of stuff. And I said like, I don't want to go out. I just want to play Metal Gear Solid. And he had spent all his time preparing, reservations and cool stuff. And he said, you know what? If that's what you want to do, man, can I at least hang out and watch it with you? And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, it sounds great. And so he stuck with me the whole time. We got to hang out and play that game.
That is really sweet. The only thing is, was your forehead as large as it is now? Because maybe he mistook you for one of those kids that he's just trying to give you your wish.
No, it was slightly smaller.
Okay.
You know what's even funnier though is that when I moved to Kansas City, I got Final Fantasy 3, which is 6, I guess, right? I used to rename all of the characters in the game after friends of mine or whatever. There's a character named Edgar who is the king of Figaro, and when you first meet him, I named him Mike immediately, just like that was like his name. And then before I knew, I named the other guy whose name is Sabin. That was Pete. And then it turns out
they're brothers.
They're brothers. That's why those two characters are always kind of like interlocked for me. So Pete and Mike ended up being brothers through and through all across time and space. And another thing was I went back to Kansas City a few years ago. Like I hadn't been in ages. And I searched endlessly for like 7 years, and I finally found Mike on Facebook, and I said, hey man, I'm coming to Kansas City. If you would, how are you? He came all the way up to see me one more time, and he had, gray hair now, and I remember him as this young 20-something dude, and like was a camp counselor. He looked like Bruce Campbell. He gave me D&D version 1, like 1.0, and he used to teach me that, and I have all these memories of him, but now he's in his 50s, and he's,
Wow.
And we went and had Chipotle together, and I told him all about, teaching, and that I'm starting a new career and stuff, and pretty cool. What an awesome, genuine dude. This has been a fun build, though, I'll tell you that. Like, I was pretty nervous when I dumped all that shit out, and I was like, this could go really poorly.
Is this, PremierTwo?
It is.
Hi. Long-time viewer here, big fan of the forehead. Praise be the forehead. Pete, I'm very introverted, and I've never had any friends, but I'm really trying to change this all by trying to socialize more. What advice would you have to someone who's very bad at talking? Yours truly, a proud member of the forehead cult.
All right, Pete, you need to answer this question. Wrong answers only.
Listen, a lot of people give off signs that they don't want to be talked to. Come on. That's just their social bubble that needs to be popped. What happens to me when I feel like, hey, I'm not really communicating, or specifically, this person's not communicating to me the way that I feel like I should be communicated to, I do two things. One, I slam that drink. Big time. We're just going to go a little further. And then I pop that bubble. I move my chair closer. Physical contact sometimes is necessary. An arm around the neck, a punch to the side. You can try grabbing their head and slamming it into the ground just to get their initial attention. However, the main thing is keep asking questions about yourself and see if they can guess them. So don't give them a lot of time to back out of the conversation. I like to pivot my chair kind of closer to the door where I can just put one leg up and it'll block any sort of egress. Just keep talking about yourself. Keep ignoring any of the boring shit like, listen, I'm kind of busy right now, or, hey, this is a funeral, it's not the right time, or they're still in surgery, whatever. Just push past it and make it about you, and eventually, the best part is, they're gonna warm up because you're an awesome person. It's that easy. And by the end of it, you will have made so many new friends that you won't even be able to keep track of them all when they put restraining orders on you or threaten you with legal action. And you're going to have yourself a great time. Trust me. Trust me.
Praise the sun. Oh wait, that's the reflection on Pete's forehead. Lol.
All right, so here's what we got. We made as much progress as we could, which was, believe it or not, this was 1 bag's worth of hard work. We have Winston. We've got 3 other proton packs, and like the first beginnings outlines the Firehouse. Notorious, what did you think about the ups and downs of today's events?
I think there are many ghosts out there that still need to be busted, but you know what? We laid the ground, we got the permits, and we got the ground floor of that fire station built. So I'm proud of you. I think chat, are we proud of Pete today?
I think, yeah, come on. We did, when we came together, we did it. Thank you all very much for being here. We had a bunch of live views, the most unique chatters we've had in a long time. Arigato gozaimasu. We're going to have all kinds of new stuff for you guys in the near future. So kick back, relax, and remember, PeteCraft.